Hi guys, and welcome to this lesson, which is a brand new scheme on summertime, the jazz standard summertime. I'm going to be doing it in concert D minor. I always play summertime in D minor. I hope that's suitable for you. You can easily transpose what we're doing. It's the process is the most important thing, not the key. So today what we're going to do is just have an overview of what I'm going to cover within these lessons, and at the minute it's a rough sort of sketch out. I'm going to be doing pentatonic, chord notes, approach notes, quotes and licks, B flat dominant chords, flat 9 dominant chords, and also minor 2-5-1s. Just by doing that, we can really focus on a little bit of pentatonic. We can focus on the flat 9 dominants. I've got some tips and tricks that might help you out with that. If I can explain them clearly, they're quite tricky, but hopefully I can think of a way to break that down where it's easy to understand. And what's good about the flat 9 dominants, we can add some diminished patterns type scales to it, and because it's only 3 diminished, it cuts down a lot on workload. Okay, but today we are going to be looking at the etude. So I've done 4 choruses. The first 2 choruses are completely only using the G pentatonic, or you can also call it the E minor blues scale, and then I've added obviously the flat 5. So if you're in the key of D minor, it will be F major pentatonic with the A flat, which gives you the blues scale. Okay, so for chorus 1 and 2, all I've used is the pentatonic scale, and then chorus 3 and 4 I dig a little deeper and we start using some approach notes, some chromatic enclosures, and a bit more bop type language that you might find people like Clark Terry or Clifford Brown play, that type of thing, but not obviously as challenging as how they would play it. Okay, let's have a listen to the etude and watch it, and then we'll talk about the vocabulary I've used. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here we are, Summertime Etude, and this is obviously lesson 1, and this is just the overview of what we're going to be covering. So as you can see, or as I told you in the introduction part there, Etude 1, which is that, and Etude 2, or Chorus 1 and Chorus 2 I should say, are all only using the pentatonic scale. Okay, and we've just had a listen to that. So the most important thing here is just experimenting and getting them under your fingers to create your own improvisations, and trying to use rhythms that you've internalized or that you can hear. Okay, so if you can't hear any type of rhythms, or you just seem to ramble, by putting it politely, and you just sort of ramble on, and when I've listened to people who sort of ramble, the main thing, you can play anything you want really, but the most important thing is to play it with confidence and great time. So what I mean by ramble is they just play notes with no conviction, slightly out of time, no phrasing. So it's that, if you listen to, from the beginning there, it's just boo da 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 ba da boo doo da dee da dee da dee da boo bee da. So even if I just sang that as rhythm, it still sounds quite jazz-like. So that's what you're aiming to do. Okay, so anyway, let's have another. Okay, so what I have tried to do is, because A is in the G pentatonic, or the E minor blues scale, when it gets to an A minor 7, I have used that note. The C7, I've used the B flat, which is the 7th. Okay, so that gives it a little bit. It's not totally random what I've done here. It's slightly thought out. And as a result, you're playing a good, strong chord note. Now, it's quite hard to do on the B7 flat 9, and that's why what you'll see is I just tend to use a bit of a blues type lick every time that I'm on the B7. Bluesy lick. Chord notes using the blues scale. And then we're back to the bluesy licks again, and you'll hear me do the same in chorus 2 as well. Back down to the A. Here comes a big bluesy lick. And then a bit of a Dizzy Gillespie, Burke's Works. Okay, and then we're into the type of language, the other type of language that we're going to focus on. So we're going to be focusing on the approach note. So here, straight away, ba da da, enclosure, da dee da dee, down the chord notes, da da da, chromatic enclosure there. These are scale-like type patterns, I would call them. Definitely here, boo ba da dee doo doo da, and this, we will focus on some scale patterns in this scheme of work. Let's have a. Okay, just running down the scale there. Dee doo da da, a chromatic enclosure to the third. and then do dee da, boo dee do dee dee da, boo dee da. Most it's chord notes, approach notes, and syncopated rhythms for this line. Simple turnaround, A minor 7 D7, and then third, enclose the next third, and then enclose the seventh. Dee do dee do da da dee da dum. And then F, that's a short 2-2-5-1 minor. So just up to the flat 9, down to the third, flat 9, down to the third. And then this is because we're going up there, there's the 7th, that's the 9th, and then the 11th, and it gives it a nice sort of modal miles type feel, I think. Anyway, okay, let's have a listen. Okay, so E7 flat 9. I'm going to do a whole lesson on flat 9, and this will be where we can work in some diminished type patterns. And once you get a few of those under your fingers, that can really help you on those flat 9. And also, you can even use them when it's not a flat 9. Just use them on an E7 or any other dominant chord. And then if you think how many dominant chords there are, and then because there's only 3 diminished, it can cut down quite a bit of learning time. But it's a bit more on the advanced, but I am going to do a lesson on it because I think it will be suitable for some. Okay, and then chord notes coming down, chromatic enclosure, flat 9, and then back to the start, back to chord. Yeah, don't be, I know in E minor, if you were just doing a pure E minor scale, the C sharp wouldn't be in it. But actually, if you put the C sharp in it and treat it as a true sort of like melodic minor going up, it's an E minor 6. So if you add the 6, which is always sort of a major sounding 6, it gives it that real gypsy jazz type vibe. Okay, and then here we go again. Do be the chromatic enclosure, down the chord notes, and then a simple 2-5 turnaround starting on the third. I've sharpened the 5 there to give it a bit of a Clark Terry-ism. And then just obviously using triplets at the end. So do ba dee dee da, ba do dee da, ba do dee da da. I actually got that from one of my favourite bands, is a Cuban band called Ila Kiri, which Paquito de Rivera and Arturo Sandoval used to be in back in the 70s, I think, certainly the 80s. But mainly the 70s, and Chucho Valdez, who's the composer, arranger, the pianist, like virtuoso pianist. Just check out Ila Kiri on YouTube. They are just phenomenal. Every member of the band is a complete virtuoso, and they do these unison passages. And one of the pieces that it makes me think of, there's a few actually, but there's one called they do it over the chords of Stella by Starlight, and it's just phenomenal. If I can find it on YouTube, I'll put a link into this lesson, and it's that type of rhythm. Okay, and that's where I got the idea for that type of thing. So that is the lesson, or that is the etude for this week's learning. Okay, so play through that, have some fun with that, and also as you're playing through, I'm hoping now you're starting to recognize you already know that I tend to favour the chord notes on beats 1 and 3, and everything else in between is some type of scale pattern or some type of enclosure or jazzy type rhythm. Okay. Yeah, as I just mentioned there at the end, very important, I think. So if you can practice something, so even if you just think, right, all I'm going to do is practice over a C major 7 and just practice on beats 1 and 3 a chord note. So if you just went up the arpeggio, so if you say staying on, and then everything else is either some type of scale pattern, yeah, okay. So, and then once you start adding the space, and that's just the, you know, three very simple either enclosures, okay. If you can get these into your vocabulary, and you also know the chord notes, which is what I'm also teaching you how to learn these standards. Just go through the chord notes. You're then really able to embellish the chord sequence, which is basically what a jazz solo is. You're just playing around the changes using jazz vocabulary. Okay, so that's what we're going to really be focusing on for this scheme of work with Summertime. Nice and steady tempo as well, not too tricky. So hopefully everyone can start to get everything under their fingers. Okay, so have fun with the etudes. Remember, also really try and just use that blues pentatonic or the G pentatonic or the F pentatonic, whatever key you're in, and have fun trying to improvise over Summertime. Remember, space is your friend, and jazz rhythms, and just whatever you play, just be really confident with it rather than just meandering through. It's the meandering which makes people sound unauthentic. And if you're really, even if you're just playing very simple things, if you play it with confidence, great time and feel, it's going to sound good. Okay, see you in the next lesson. Bye for now.